Picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Well, welcome back, everybody. It's Wednesday. It's time to start something new. Just wrapped up the 2 Kronos 1 builds, and as promised, the new build will have no decals. It will have no photo etch. It will have no straight lines almost of any type. It will not need painting templates. I need to do a little palette cleansing. You know, you build so many times or so many types of things, and then you want to take a break. And I'm going to build a figure this week, maybe this week. I'm sure it's going to take more than this week and next. But I'm going to build a figure, and I know figures are not the most popular type of things that I build on this site. It has, I can tell because I can go back and see which ones get the viewership and which ones don't. And I don't really, I hate to say it, but I don't really care. I don't take that into consideration. I'm not doing this as a business, so to speak. I build what I want to build, and this is what I want to build this week. We are going from the depths of space to the depths of the sea. See how I did that? Going back to my old friend Chris Wooten's Terrors from the Vault. There's the sexy packaging. And this week we are working on the Horror of Party Beach. Now, I respect people who don't put a lot of flash on their packaging. I don't put flash on my packaging. It's the dullest, most generic thing you'll ever see. Why waste that time and money? The good stuff is inside. That's what I always thought. That's what I live by. So come down to the table. We will do a quick meet the parts, and then I will tell you kind of where my head is at for this build. Okay, here is the table full of parts. Now, the careful viewer will see some of the remnants of the Kronos 1 builds still scurrying around the edges, and I will be cleaning that up. Have some lighting here and some wiring I need to move out of the way that has nothing to do with this build. This is, as I've said, from Chris Wooten over at Terrors from the Vault. And it is a 3D printed kit, just like the green slime that I did for him from his company a few months ago. We have a very nicely printed and sturdy base. You'll see all of the holes that are in it for drainage. We don't care. These will not be seen. They can have as many holes in there as you want. You can catch the occasional build sprue or build support still in there. But this is going to be the good base from which to start. It's got the Horror of Party Beach logo in here. Now this, again, just like the green slime, is not a faithful one-for-one exact duplicate of the creature from said property. This is Chris's take on them, which I appreciate all the more because it just feeds into the artistic freedom and liberty to do things however you darn well please. So we start with that. Start with the base. We've got this locker to go on the back of it. And, I can't help look at one of these without thinking of Gilligan's Island. But, no, it'll have nothing to do with that. But we'll have this nice base. I love the barnacles on this. Every little bit of a barnacle and organic shape on here. It's just neat. We've got a couple of feet to go in the base. Nicely keyed. We'll lock in there. Got a nice little skull. This is like kind of like his calling card. This little skull. There was a similar one on the green slime kit, but the skull and the jawbone of said skull go like that. And again, this is his interpretation of this character. And you'll see we've got weep holes in it and drainage holes to fill. And that's the first thing we'll do is patch those with a bit of epoxy putty. That goes like that. We've got the I love the way he's got this broken up and the way that the scales overhang the joints and kind of hide the joint. So if we look at something like that, we've got a set of arms that will give him an appropriately creepy stance. I love the pose on this. And the head, which has got not only the mohawk on it, a mohawk fin, and also a set of wonderfully colorful gills. I'll say colorful in a moment, but you have something like this. I don't want to build the whole thing and kind of ruin it for you, but this is the general pose of the thing. So it's very dynamic, very in your face, and I love that about it. And he's got this set of ood-like tentacles. If you know what the ood are, these are very oodish. So we've got a very dynamically posed, and he's got the second set of arms that hang out underneath here. We've got a very dynamic creature. Now, I don't want to do your typical, okay, well, he would be green scales, green and yellow, blah, 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 creature from the Black Lagoon, yeah, yada, yada, yada. No, I want to do what I want to do. I want to do an excuse, because this is a new and independent design, to do whatever the heck I want to do. I want to make him as colorful as possible. I want to get away from all of the grays and the drabs and the greens that I've been painting lately, and have an excuse to branch out and paint some blues and some yellows and some greens and some bright colors. So that is while the base and like the wooden base and the wheel here will be more realistic colored, the ship's wheel there. I want to use every excuse in the world to make him wildly colorful. I was at the Motion Picture Museum a few months ago now, and I saw the costume for Doug Jones's character in Shape of Water, and that had all kinds of yellows and blues in it that you never saw, and iridescent colors in it that made it look a whole lot richer than just your typical silver fish or green fish. So I'm looking forward to having some fun, doing a lot of freeform painting on this, not a lot of restrictive, certainly there's nothing that needs masking, but nothing that is straight line, you must paint it a certain color, you must do this, you must do that. I'm looking forward to throwing everything in the world at this thing and seeing how much I can stretch it without going, it's going to be garish, but, I don't want it to look like, too over the top. I do want it to have some sort of grounding in it, but I've been looking at a lot of pictures of tropical fish to see, painting colors and painting patterns and things like that. For a fleeting moment, now this is, of course, you're going to get an earful of fish puns coming up, but for a fleeting moment, I was going to make this in the colors of Nemo and do him in orange like a clownfish, or orange, white, and black, and call him Leonard Nemo. But no, that perhaps I was being too coy with it. I hear you carping. There will be no more fish jokes. I will flounder on that account. But there we go. So yeah, I think the first thing to do today is start gluing some pieces together and sculpting the seams. The seams are very clean, but there's always an opportunity to put some epoxy sculpt in there, and I do need to cover up these holes. So that's what my goal is for today. I believe I want to leave the head separate, paint it separately. I can go ahead and put the arms and the torso together though, and get that much of it done. So without much further ado, I would say let's get cracking, but this isn't a kraken. This is a manfish. Alrighty, with the arms glued in, you can get a much better idea of the pose for this, the drama of it. I think I am going to leave the head off, obviously, to work on that separately. And I'll probably leave the torso off of the hips there. I don't know whether I will probably leave those two just for the sake of being able to build it and handle it more efficiently and build it in those chunks. A little bit of belated mail call because it came out of the ordinary, but I was working on the creature here and knocked at the door, and FedEx guy was there and did a twofer. Not only did he resupply me with vinyl that I desperately needed because I had run out. Good news is the Kronos one, the first bulk order of those went out. So they should be showing up in Steve's shop shortly and available for purchase at most of your fine online retailers before it's all said and done. But also the first two stages, or the first two, I guess it's a stage, the first two issues of the Fan Home Build the RoboCop, which I'm not going to be covering that on making videos of it like I'm doing with the Prime, because so many people are doing RoboCop. It's been available in other parts of the world, and as such, you can see almost completed builds. You might catch it in the background here, but I'm just going to take 20 minutes or so this afternoon and build up what is, oh, there's that piece of photo etch I thought I had lost yesterday. Oh, well. And getting back to what I was saying, I'm just going to build this up, take some time, have some fun, and then we'll get back to the terror from Party Beach. Well, that didn't take hardly any time at all. Only because I've watched several people online do this, including good buddy Wayne doing this just a couple of days ago. But we have a foot with a bending toe, and we have the head minus the face, but it's got the helmet hanging on with a big honking magnet there, which presumes that we will be able to see the full face at some point. This back part is just begging to be painted. A little bit of gunmetal on there, and some maybe some of the what's the name of that stuff, Molotov chrome, and I have to check again to see which parts of it, because there was a lot of heavy black on there, but I could see dressing that up, giving it a little dimension. But when you have this nice big honking head over it, but now it's going to go into storage until next month, when we'll get some more parts. Now, a lot of people have asked this, and this is something that I may have misspoken about. The color of this is strictly a metal, but you can even see on the camera how it's picking up blue. It's picking up the blue of this. It's reflecting it. I don't believe that the armor of RoboCop himself was painted in the first movie. I think he was silver in the first movie, but he was subject to a lot of the lighting around him that gave him color. I think that he was painted with like a purple metallic or purple iridescent. I think that happened on the second movie. I could be mistaken. I will gladly be corrected. But I think that what you're seeing in the first movie, a lot of it is has come down to reflection, lighting, and all that kind of good trickery. Oh, look at that face. Okay, I've got all of the joints sculpted back in with epoxy sculpt. I'm at a place where I can leave this cure overnight. I'm going to leave the ood tentacles out of the mouth, going to leave the eyes out, do all of those separately. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. It is Thursday, and work is continuing on our friend Leonard here from Terror at Party Beach. And what you're not seeing is the big backdrop with the ship's wheel on it and all that. That's because that's out on the back deck. It is drying. I put a primer coat on it. Primer coats of some browns and some grays, because that's going to be really aged wood. And while this creature might have some fairly fanciful coloring on it, the the backdrop should be more realistic, I feel. And so that is going to be some weather-worn wood. There's your alliteration for Thursday morning. Weather-worn wood, and some brass with some patina on it on the wheel, and of course the barnacles that are all over that will be nice, and trying to do a realistic job on that. So those colors are out, and I've got the base coat of primer and some splashes of browns and grays on that, and that's doing its thing outside. And now we're turning our attentions to Leonard here, and I'm deciding what base color. Now this is, trust me, I'm going to go through every color in the book before we get finished. But I think we need to get a good base color on this, something that I could spray fairly widely to cover a lot of the surface here. And then of course we'll paint it on top of that. And I'm thinking even the base could stand to be several different colors if we are tying our idea into the idea of this tropical fish. You can see the white of the epoxy sculpt that I put on yesterday, and that has dried in, and I've been tooling that a bit this morning, touching it up and sanding it down. I want to put the primer coat over it really to see if there is anything left that I also need to be looking at, but I think we're okay with most of this. Now the problem that I see right away is going to be spraying up underneath all of these scales. I will tell you that Chris has done a wonderful job of sculpting this with all of these scales, with all the in and outs, because I did something that I hope you'll never have to do, and that is I actually watched a bit of The Terror of Party Beach, and I have to tell you that the creature suit that they used, I have seen better creature suits in grade school productions. It is horrible. It's laughably bad. I won't even subject you to it. But please, if you really hate yourself, you're waking up in the morning and you're hating yourself, go watch 10 or 20 minutes of The Terror of Party Beach, and if that doesn't drive you off the cliff, I don't know what will. It's laughably bad. So Chris has actually made something of that horrible design that was, and in this case, it was like a bad wetsuit with some plastic semicircles just glued to the top of it. It was horrible. So I'm thinking that anything we do is going to be a better representation of a monster than what was in the actual movie. So I'm thinking of trying to think of a good base color that will get in and around all of the nooks and crannies here. And I'm thinking, that's why I've got the orange paint out. You may have seen it earlier. This is a paint and primer. It's meant to be, it's a paint and primer, so it'll take care of the priming and maybe the base color of the paint. But I'm thinking that I want to at least do the legs and the feet in this color, and then maybe we'll shift it up into the another color as we get to the top, because as I've said, this is a tropical design. It's going to have every color in the book on it. So we're basically going to throw a bunch of stuff at it and see what sticks. Alrighty, the legs are out in the other room drying. I've put some orange on them. I've picked a color that is ironically called Tide Pool, or unironically, fittingly, I should say, maybe fittingly called Tide Pool. And I think I'm going to use that on just the central body, and then the arms as they come out will be more of a blue base. But I think maybe that might happen best in the top coat painting. I don't think I need to prime those blue. So that would give me this chunk, and then the head I can make yet a different color. And for the last, we got a little bit of Blue Ocean Breeze on the head, and I think that's going to look very nice with the contrast of the pink feelers here. That's going to look nice. So I mean, these are just base colors. Everything will be based off of them. That's why they call them base colors. But we're at the place now. All we need to do is let these primer coats dry, and we're going to let them dry good and long before we get back to them. Yeah, I brought the base back in from outside, and this still needs to dry for quite a while, but I figured I would bring it in here and get it out of the elements, and we can start to kind of work on that and kind of map out where our colors are going to be. Again, very largely a wooden surface with some barnacles on it. Age that down nicely. Painting the logo is going to be probably our opportunity for color and fun. We'll get some brass detail on here and then age that down. Maybe some pewter or some iron on that. More than likely it'll be old brass. I have to say I like this. This is the stage of painting I like the best because there basically are, at this point, no wrong answers. Anything is an experiment. Anything is up for trial. Anything's possible at this stage. So I'm just feeling out the main colors and seeing where they need to be. If this is going to be more of a grayed out wood, it's important to have this brown undertone when I put the gray over it, but it's going to be a grayed out wood. And I'm looking at this logo and thinking what that could be. The movie's in black and white. I don't want to do this in shades of gray. That would be the first thing you would think of doing, but I don't want to do that in shades of gray. I want to keep all of the color. Now, by the time this is grayed out and the final color of Leonard is going to be more orangish around the feet, I don't want to put any orange in here. I might want to go completely opposite and go with a blue color, like a sea blue. But I'm going to have blue up in his top, so I'm kind of seeing this is the thing that can have the most fungibility as far as, or flexibility, sorry, more flexibility as far as I can make these any colors under the sun. Some things are going to be locked into a necessary color. The wood is a necessary color. Even the barnacles, I'll do some research on those and get those to be a necessary color. The wheel is going to have brasses and patinas and colors on that we're going to know about. Even the fish man himself is going to have a rainbow of colors, but it's going to be colors we're going to know about. This skull that goes on the deck is going to be a human skull, so it has a color that we know about. I'm not going to be doing anything fanciful with that other than the gore that's going to happen on it. So one thing to do would be to make that sand colored, like at the party beach, and then do the lettering in a contrasting color, maybe a red or something. But all these ideas are percolating, and then we'll start narrowing them down once we get started. Right now I'm just slapping on a wash, and that's basically every black and brown that I've got that I'm just going to lay over top of this wood. The excellent sculpting that Chris did on the wood grain means it's really soaking in there, really showing off the wood grain pattern, which means it's also going to be excellent when it comes to doing the dry brushing of the gray over top of it. The wood is really well sculpted, nice and deep. The grain is nice and deep, like weathered wood. And you go out and look at your deck, and you'll see that the grain is really much more pronounced than when it was new. I'm liking this. It's just almost going to be a shame to gray it all up. I'm liking the raw wood of it, or the dark wood of it. But this is why I like to paint and why I like to build models, because I like doing this exact type of work right here. I just need to mix up some more, and again, it's a no recipe. Little of this, little of that. Black wash, some petrol spills. Oil stain gives me a nice warm brown. I've got some sienna in there. If you write me and ask me for the recipe, I will laugh at you. I will laugh mightily in your face, because there's no such thing as a recipe when it comes to this. This is Bob Ross painting here. This is making happy little wood grains. Just wash it and let it set where gravity is going to take it, because if gravity takes it on a model that is accurate, you can bet this is where gravity took it on the actual thing. It's just smaller. I got one more side to go here. And like I said, the next thing we'll do is let all of this dry, and then we'll come back and dry brush the gray weathered wood on top of it, and then we'll paint in the barnacles, because the barnacles would be naturally colored. I'll be doing some barnacle research now. I'm gonna, even though this is a fantasy subject, I want to do at least, you know, some due diligence on making sure that my barnacles are somewhat accurate. Now, I haven't decided for myself yet whether this cross piece here is another piece of wood or whether it's clad in a brass. I think just another piece of wood is sufficient. Save the brass accenting for the wheel, the boat steering wheel. I just said that. I'm going to look up what the actual term for that is. Right now, I'm just making sure I've got everything evenly covered. Now, there is some snot or some slime or something otherwise gooey that has been sculpted into the base here that covers some of this stuff. And I'm basically just painting color behind it, because if that's going to be any sort of translucent slime, then I want the colors behind it to be able to poke through. I might just do a simple color shifter on that, or maybe a milky white UGG color. Again, that's something that's going to be up for grabs once I have done the gray on the wood. I want something that, you know, stands out, gives it a little contrast, but so that you can see that there's something stuck there. And that's an opportunity to play with some color, which is what this whole project is for me right now, because after doing those Klingon ships, I want an excuse to use a lot of bright and saturated color and not feel the least bit bad about it. I'm starting to make a stab at what we're going to be doing with the color here. I think a nice midnight blue, very dark midnight blue would work nicely there for the interior of the logo. Now you're asking yourself, Lou, are you using every color you've got? Is it this desperate excuse to use every color you got? And I'll say, shut up, mind your own business. Yes, I'm using every color I've got as an excuse to use every color that I've got. Sometimes you just want to use everything in the paint box. Good news, 5-minute search online tells me that the ship's wheel is in fact called the ship's wheel, or the helm. As in Mr. Sulu, you have the helm. We have an opportunity to let this just dry right now, and I'm thinking where I need to put the brass, and I'm looking at some samples online, and it looks like the inner wheel here was mostly brass. I'm going to make this a brass plate as well, and the rivets going through, but everything else is just going to be a lacquered wood. So I can actually put some of this dark wash that I've been doing. I can go ahead and put some of that wash on the parts of the wheel as well. Now, it's not going to be as easy to hold this up and do it while I'm working on it, because, you know, the walls kind of held themselves up. Actually, this is still kind of tacky, so I think we will let this sit for a while. Okay, there's only a little bit of stuff I can do while I'm waiting for other paints to dry. And one of them is I'm working on the tentacles. And for some reason I'm getting hungry for calamari at this point. But yeah, see, this is giving me... Now, none of this is airbrushed. This is all just painting by hand with washes and dry brushing, but you can kind of see the idea of the shading going from darker to darker in the mouth to lighter on the outsides. I might even put a harsh white highlight on some of these bits after they've had a chance to dry, but we'll set that aside. Let's see, let's put it on a nice top like that. Starting to work on similar work on the head. Yes, it looks like a botched gender reveal at this point. You got a little blue and a little pink. But again, we're starting to see some of the shading and fading going on in here. Then it's just a matter of dry brushes and washes to achieve these colors. And, you know, just layer upon layer. But yeah, this is where I'm having my fun. Having my fun, doing my blending, painting it by hand. No brushes, no airbrushes to clean at least. Still have regular brushes to clean, but let's see, what else can I work on right now? I've got the skull I could do a little bit of work on, and I've got this jawbone that I could work on. So yeah, we're finding stuff to do. Okay, do not adjust your sets. Yeah, there is every color under the sun in there. Yes, every bit of it is intentional. And yes, it will all be more or less codified and unified into something that is not nearly that drastic. But, just to show you where I'm going with Leonard here, you will see that he is multicolored. Okay, so I've stuck the eyes in just temporarily so you can get a true picture of how goony this guy really looks. And that is, none of this is to take away anything from Chris's wonderful sculpture. I'm just having fun with it. It's an inherently silly creature. I've looked at the movie. It's so bad. It's got some good, good music to it, but good Lord. Don't take any of this as an indictment against the quality of the resin kit. You're certainly at liberty to do this, treat this as seriously as you want with your own version. I just did a pass with the gray, the same gray wash that I put on the Kronos ones. I just did a pass over the wood to gray it out, make it look more like a weathered, aged wood. Also to lighten it up, which will give me more contrast between the background and my character. I did not do the same on the wheel because I don't want to, I want it to stand out. It's going to have more of a varnished finish than the wheelhouse behind it. So we're going to let that, we're not going to put some of the same gray on that we did on here. But now we're starting to see more contrast between Leonard and the backdrop, so that's good. And when I start putting some of the other props in place, they also stand out more against the lighter floor. And again, we're starting to, I put in the same color on his fin that is on his head, his crest, and his cheeks. We're going to start working in some unifying colors in here, but this is all merely inspiration. It is not meant to be the finished color. I'm realizing how much he looks like Elemental Man now. That garishly colored superhero or supervillain from the comic books. I do like this shading, how it goes from the orange down into the rust. I do like that. I'll try to keep some of that up, but of course I will be getting rid of, he should be glossy. He's wet, he's out of the water, so that much is kind of, it might come back in some form, but I don't necessarily like the flatness of the tones. And of course we've got plenty of barnacles and stuff that need to be brought in and painted in. I am going to be throwing in some darker greens on this. He's not going to be quite as pastel green as he is there, nor is he going to be as pastel blue as he is there. All right, that's where we're going to leave it for this week. We'll pick this up again on Monday, but as you can see, I've thrown every color in the book at him. And some will stay, most will go, but we'll definitely use it as a base for everything else that comes. And that's going to wrap it up for this week. Now, I know this was a short video. September is a weird month. It's going to be weird from here on out. It'll settle down a bit once we get into October, but for right now, it's a weird week. So this is as much as we got done, but I think that's great. We got the 2 Chronos ones finished earlier in the week, so this is a good place to start and a good place to leave our friend Leonard here until next time. So until then, when I can see if I can find any more colors that I can shove in on this, y'all be good, y'all be safe, be smart, look out for each other, and be back next week.